Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim. We talk about horror movies on this show, and on this episode, we are going to be looking at the recent release of Mum and Dad, starring Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair. Yeah, we'll start spoiler free, and we'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers, somewhere in the middle, as we always do.
Can't wait. Think about it all day.
That's a good sign. So what is the plot of Mum and Dad, one might ask? What Mum and Dad is a film where it's essentially a zombie virus, but instead of turning into a zombie, it makes parents want to kill their children. That is the plot of this movie. So, over the course of the film, Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair, who are the parents, grow a bit crazy, and then spend the second half of the film trying to kill their teenage daughter and their, 10, 12-year-old son, whatever age he is. And that is the movie. That's basically, in a nutshell, and it's from one of the Crank filmmakers who directed this. So that's the premise. So I mean, that was a quick lead in. No faffing about. We're not dilly dallying on this one. Tim, how did you feel about Mum and Dad?
Man, I really wanted to like this. It's okay. It's not horrible. I like the premise. And I love Nicolas Cage. Just seeing him anytime, just brings a smile to my face. And then, hey, I also like Selma Blair. She was in Hellboy, And
of course, that's why you like Selma Blair. Of course, she was in Hellboy.
But I mean, it has a lot of stuff going for it. But I think ultimately, it's I don't think it's directed very well. It feels very generic, like the way it's shot. Like there's nothing interesting or unique about it. I think it has a problem we've talked about with like a lot of horror movies over the last couple of years, where it has a great premise that I feel like it really doesn't do anything with. It's actually not really that gory. I don't know. Like ultimately, it's not like horrible or anything, but I kind of had high expectations because at the very least with Nick Cage, I thought, oh, this is gonna be crazy, and there was some over the top fun Cage stuff, but other than that, I think it was just kind of a generic so-so horror movie.
Interesting. I liked it a bit more than you did, actually. Not a super amount. Like I don't think it's great. I think my bigger problem is kind of how it just ends suddenly at one point at the end. The movie just kind of, it doesn't have like a build up and a big climax, or it just kind of ends. It stops.
I think at one point, like, I was kind of surprised. I paused it and was like, oh, like we're almost to the end. Like to me, it felt like I think it takes a while to get to what we all know is the premise of the movie, and once it gets there, it feels really forced and not as fun as I was hoping it would be.
I think that's where we disagree. Is I had a lot of fun with the actual trying to kill the kids stuff. Maybe it's because I've got a dark sense of humor, but most of the parents killing the kids, I was hysterically kind of enjoying, for the most part. Now you're right. There's not a lot of gore, but honestly, Tim, I don't think, especially with the younger victims, I don't think you were ever going to get actual visual,
Makes
gore.
sense, yeah.
Like, at one point there's a parent like stabbing their children with a key of all things. But instead of seeing the actual stabbing, you're seeing the hand come up into frame, with the blood on it. Like, you don't see the actual thing. And I think because it's children we're dealing with, you are never going to get that. It's kind of an unwritten rule that you don't see, gore on kids, really.
I think it's fine if it is like really, kind of ordinary, like brutal up close stuff like that. But I guess I was expecting more like, crazy over the top stuff that, just like straight up stabbing a kid. Yeah, that's not something that would be fun to see. But I don't know. I thought there was gonna maybe be like goofier, crazier kills that, using like weird household items and over the top kind of stuff.
Yeah, see, I think I came into it more as a black comedy, and as a black comedy, I kind of enjoyed it for the most part. I do think it has its problems. Like I say, the ending just kind of ends. It almost feels like it's trying to be this satire. It's trying to do this thing where it's how middle-aged people like kind of start to hate and resent their kids. Like it's kind of going for that and like try to make it literal and turn them into killers. And I don't think there's enough with that. Because you kind of like the flashbacks you get throughout the film of like how they were before this, they kind of just show that they were kind of miserable beforehand.
Uh,
That's just kind of like brought out what they were feeling anyway, in a weird way. Obviously more extreme, but that's kind of what it's doing.
See,
Uh,
I think maybe I could have appreciated it more if it felt more comedic for me, but it didn't really to me it didn't feel like that was the tone they were going for. Maybe it's just how it read to me, but it seemed like there were like there definitely were funny moments in it. Like don't get me wrong about that, but it also seemed like they were trying to make more kind of like sentimental points about growing up
yeah,
and like resenting kids and stuff. And
they definitely were. And certainly the flashbacks. That's when it's the most kind of like when it's really trying to analyze things. If it is even trying to analyze things at all, it's you kind of feel like the idea is there, but they're not really digging enough into it to really do much with it. But maybe it's my sense of humor. But almost any time, like a parent went for their kid or tried to do something to their kid, or it was revealed that something horrible already happened to a kid, I basically started laughing. I might be a little sick in the head. Maybe this is just me, but the entire premise was kind of hilarious to me. It's silly as shit. It is a ridiculous premise that a virus could spread that would make people, want to kill their kids. Because the way they present it is it reverses the natural instinct to protect your kids. That's what this is doing. It's reversing that. But I mostly had good fun. It is it's like 80 minutes long, and it does feel like it could use another 10 minutes. But because of that, I never felt like it was dragging. I was never resentful for the build up to stuff. Really, the shit hitting the fan.
Mhm.
Whereas it sounds like you were kind of waiting for the chaos to kind of kick in.
I mean, it didn't feel like you get like a lot of other stuff with other parents, but
Hmm.
I thought the main crux of the movie was going to be mostly specifically these parents and chasing their kids around, and I feel like that's maybe only the last like 35-ish or so minutes. Like it felt like they got there kind of late.
I don't think it's late in the sense that I think it's the right amount of time to get to it. It just feels late in the sense that the movie's only 80 minutes long, so there's only so much runtime
Yeah,
left. Like,
true.
I think what surprised me and what maybe I'm disappointed on is that it's all in the house. Like, I kind of felt like eventually this has to spill out and become like a chase in the streets kind of thing and go to some interesting
Yeah.
locations. And it never really does that. It kind of just sticks to the house once they. I like the build up though because there's a sort of thing where the kids, as they're realizing what's going on in the world, like begin to realize like, oh, we can't be here when the parents get home, and it's kind of trying to avoid that. But then things kind of like all kind of come together at the same time, uh, and I like them trying to outsmart each other. There's the debates of like a lot of the movie that they're hiding from them, and the parents like discussions of like how to like lure them out. Or again, they're kind of insane. It's like okay, they're bonding for the first time in a long time because they're finally united because they want to kill their kids. It's like a really weird, again, very dark humor kind of idea. But no. So
I will say I did like the um I guess it's like a little bit of a surprise, like towards the closer to the end where we're kind of introduced to a couple of characters we hadn't seen up until that point.
one of whom is
Uh,
played by Lance Henriksen, who is a
mm,
delight to see. Might I add?
yeah,
I love Lance
that
Henriksen.
that I thought, which I think they do kind of give away, kind of what that scene's gonna be like from the trailer, because I didn't remember it going in, but when
Yeah,
that happened, I was like, oh yeah, they kind of hinted at that in the
yeah.
trailer, but
It's a
I
shame.
thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a shame to put that in the trailer because we won't spoil it here, just in case you've not watched the trailer and you want to go in colder. But that was a really good moment when you realize what's about to happen. When those characters show up, it's actually really good fun. Yeah, I liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it. I wouldn't say that I don't think it capitalizes on everything that I wanted from the premise, but I think I had a solid enough fun 80-minute time that I'm glad I watched it. So
Yeah, and I'm not mad or anything. I guess I'm just a little disappointed. And again, I kind of had big expectations for it because I think the fact that oh, this is Nicolas Cage, and oh, this is a crazy premise, and oh, it's from one of the guys from Crank. Like, like the Crank movies, they're so crazy over the top and stuff. And so I thought this was gonna be, um, I mean, given what the premise is, it felt a little more subdued to me than what I was expecting. And
I
not that it's necessarily a horrible bad thing or anything. It's just like I kind of wanted more.
I don't know. Every time it was a shot where you think Nicolas Cage was about to go crazy, and he'd do that extreme close up where he turned and looked, but then he'd smile like 10 seconds later after like just staring really intensely for a while. That made me laugh every time. So I don't know. I was in on it, and something
I
else.
can't really.
Yeah, on you go.
Oh no, I can't get mad at Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a delight pretty much at whatever he's doing.
And something else is in the trailer, and I won't get into it again until spoilers, but I'll just say the hokey dokey part of the movie was cracking me up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I just enjoyed the insanity of it. Although I do think, Tim, that you should never have high hopes for a Nicolas Cage movie.
I can't help it.
You should never, because most of them do suck these days, Timmy. Like, he had a couple of great ones in 2010, because he had Kick-Ass and he had, I think, Bad Lieutenant the same year, which are very notable. And then, not a whole lot since that I'm aware of.
But I mean, even stuff like The Wicker Man, not a great movie, but
Oh,
like,
sure.
it gives me the Cage that I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but I wouldn't go in excited for it though. The best to do is to remain neutral and then be pleasantly surprised by Nicolas Cage and his insanity. I think that's what you do. I think we'll give the spoiler warning though. We'll dive into some of the deeper plot and specifics. First thing I want to say in spoilers actually is at one point the teenage girl Carly, her boyfriend's kind of helping them. And because one of the interesting things about the premise, I thought, was that they don't go after other kids; they just go after their own kids. It's just about their own kids. But he's trying to help them, and Mom Selma Blair's fighting back, and she knocks him over the stairs. And this is one of the most brutal looking, like falling over the stair rail shots I've ever seen in my life. Because he falls over, and then like the stairs kind of like snake back round, they sort of turn and go back round the same way. So he falls over the stairs and then hits the banister for the lower part of the stairs, and then like sort of like bounces off of that onto the ground or on the floor. It looks brutal as shit.
Yeah, this was really awesome, especially like you were saying earlier in the movie, like they cut away from most of like the gores and the kills and stuff. So to have this like it's not like there's like a lot of blood or anything, but to have a very very brutal scene like this was pretty shocking. But it looked cool. Like the direction of it was awesome.
Yeah, even when you don't see other things, like they set up, they've got a housekeeper at the start, and she's got her daughter who sort of comes with her to the house, which is really weird. I don't know who does that, but whatever. You get that it's there for the sake of showing us what's happening later on, and at one point, like once stuff starts going on, like sort of gradually throughout the city. At one point, the mum phones and says, "Hey, are the kids there? Are they okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I think he's upstairs. He's fine." And it's okay. And it's when the daughter comes in a little bit later and she says hi to her, so you should probably leave now. And she walks past the counter and you see what she's actually mopping, because she's been mopping for a while, and it's just blood. And I'm like, oh, she's killed her daughter. That's really funny. And then later on, at one point, someone looks at the recycling bin outside and just sort of smells like something, and they look inside and it's like, oh, it's the kid. The kid's been put in the bin. I thought that was really funny.
So is it only when parents see their kids that they get the urge to kill them?
I was getting the impression that it was building up throughout the day, because that's why we had the flashbacks, because they each had a flashback. Like Nicolas Cage remembered a time when he like the boy stank out his car, and then Selma Blair had a memory of what did the daughter do again in the flashback? I can't remember.
I think messed up her makeup or something.
No, that was the happier memory later on, because I thought they were getting better because they had like nicer memories later on.
True, yeah.
And that was where she bonded with her daughter later on. But they both had memories where they like were pissed at them, and I think it was building. I think it was when they see them where they properly trigger though, and they start like just hunting them.
Because I was given the sense that like like earlier throughout the day, like it seems like she was genuinely worried about the kid, and then I kind of assumed that maybe they can function normally beforehand, but then once you actually see them, that's when it like snaps off in you.
I think she is worried for a bit, but before she gets there, like she's still like comprehending things enough that she knows they're in danger. But when she sees them, yeah, it's just like, no, I'm crazy now too.
Yeah. Uh, shoot, I was gonna say something I completely forgot.
Tim, I'm sure that was a great comment you had lined up. I'm sure it was amazing, and you were going to floor us all, and we were going to feel enlightened because you brought something to the table that no one else could bring.
Oh, actually, I remember what it was. I was just gonna say the baby scene. I thought that actually was like pretty tense.
That was tense as shit because obviously stuff is starting right now, and obviously Selma Blair's not went home yet, but she's there to help her sister like give birth. And I was, as soon as they started this, I'm like, holy shit, she's going to try and kill her baby. And they hand her newborn baby, and the umbilical cord's not even cut yet. And I'm just like, oh, she's going to try and strangle it or something. She's going to hold it. And eventually they'll start to notice, oh, she's holding it really tight. She's holding it really tight. And they have to like wrestle it off of her. It's actually a pretty good scene. Again, over the top and like ridiculous, but that's what I kind of liked.
I think I did actually feel like genuine tension though when it was happening because it's like over the top, sure, but it's not like really being played for like laughs or anything. Like to me, that it felt pretty serious. Or I mean, maybe that's just the way I was reading it, but it was kind of like, holy shit, are they really gonna like kill this baby?
And the boyfriend's dad tries to kill the boyfriend, and then ends up tripping and stabbing himself in the neck with his broken bottle. So you got a bit of gore there. Again, that's what I'm saying about it's okay for the adults to have gory deaths. The kids, you tend to like avoid it. The teenagers can have gory deaths, but we don't see too many. Maybe there could have been more of a gauntlet as we're trying to get home. Although, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed a lot when Selma Blair's driving home and there's like a woman with a pram, and she throws it onto the street and she has to swerve to avoid hitting the baby.
Oh, right, yeah.
I thought that was great. Or baby carriage, sorry, Tim. I don't know if you know what a pram is.
It took me a second, but I got the context clues.
Pram, there you go, you've learned the word, Tim. Pram.
Are you talking about like a prom dress or something?
Or right. Stroller is maybe more specific to what's in the actual movie. A stroller, but hey. So no, I thought that was hilarious when she like has to swerve to, because the woman just sort of says, "Oh, there's a car coming! Push the baby out of the road." That was kind of the insane stuff that I was getting, and even just the quick cuts to like random stuff, like Nicolas Cage is like fantasizing about his teenage years, and he's in a car with a naked woman, and they're just skidding around. It's just this quick thing, and they're just kind of all screaming at each other. It's great.
Stuff like that, you gotta wonder, like, did they have Nicolas Cage in mind for this? Because like that, and like obviously the hokey pokey scene. I'm like, there's no way like another actor could pull this off.
Yeah, because there's a flashback when the kids get in the basement. They see there's like a smashed up pool table, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" Because they don't know why it's there. And we get a flashback to like a couple of weeks ago where Nicolas Cage, as part of his midlife crisis, bought. And I say bought a pool table. He actually bought parts and built a pool table, because he's getting very frustrated because no matter how hard he tries, it's not level. Because he keeps getting the spirit level out, and he's trying to, fix it. And Selma Blair comes down and is like, "How much did this cost? Are you building a man cave? What the hell?" And he gets so upset, he's like, "You know what, I'll handle this for you, honey." And he just takes a sledgehammer and starts smashing it up while saying the hokey dokey.
You call it hokey dokey? I think it's hokey pokey.
Hokey pokey? Maybe it is hokey pokey. Maybe I've just been saying it wrong all these years. I don't know. Hokey dokey. Hokey pokey. The rest of it is the same though. You put your right foot, you put your right foot, you do the hokey. No, actually, it's not the hokey dokey. It's the hokey cokey. I'm pretty sure that's what we called it in school growing up.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's like a might be a regional thing or something.
It might be. I'm pretty sure it was a hokey cokey though. Now I'm actually thinking. I'm thinking about the song and the dance. I'm like,
yeah.
You do the hokey cokey and you shake it all about. Yeah.
Oh, but either way, he gives it the gravitas you would expect from Nicolas Cage.
That is a word for it.
Great.
Yes, gravitas is a word you could use for it. He's crazy Nick Cage. Like the scene's kind of interesting because like, it's so crazy, and you feel like she feels uncomfortable because he's getting very like, almost violent because he's smashing this table, and then it gets like oddly somber and like sort of sweet almost because they sit down next to each other and they basically both agree that we kind of hate our kids because Like, they have futures ahead of them, and we're kind of like, in these shitty middle-aged like positions. Like, he's got a job that doesn't pay well. Honestly, he says he makes 45 grand a year, and I don't know how he feeds a family of four in a house this big for 45 grand a year. I'm calling bullshit on the math there, but and affords a housekeeper.
Yeah, that's a little.
If you're struggling for money, you don't have a housekeeper, right? That's financials 101.
That's a good point.
Just but hey, so that's when it starts to get a bit somber and it's trying to make its point. Honestly, my only real disappointment with the movie is it ends really suddenly, and it doesn't really maybe give us more like hijinks outside and let us see more crazy stuff happening. I agree there could be more crazy stuff, but there's lots of little things I liked about when the kids were hiding in the basement and the parents are trying to get in. Like at one point, they've got this plan to like try and like gas them out because they sort of like seal up the little window outside, and they put a hose in and they tape up all the holes in the wall. And when they put the tape on, the daughter goes up and like puts her finger through the hole to feel the tape, and you just see Selma Blair bring this knife up and she tries to stab her through the door.
Yeah.
And there's just little moments like that I thought really worked. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think ultimately it's a big, insane B movie. That's what I'd call it. And I think for it to be a truly great B movie, it'd have to really capitalize on a few more of its premises. But the parents chasing him around was fun. When his parents show up, when Nicolas Cage, that was the big thing at the end. Is his parents are coming for dinner, the grandparents, and it's Lance Henriksen and his wife. And as soon as they open the door, they try to stab him, and we get this weird like triple chase where Nicolas Cage is still chasing after his son. He's not even trying to defend himself. He's ignoring Lance Henriksen, but Lance Henriksen's like climbing over furniture trying to get to him. So we have this thing where they get out to the car outside, and he's like climbing in the window to get to his son, and Lance Henriksen's just stabbing him in the back of the legs as he's like hanging out the window. It is just insanity, and that's when I was like, okay, we're really into this now. And what I thought was funny as well is that Lance Henriksen didn't seem to want to kill his grandson. It only seems to work with the direct children, not the grandkids, because he was like, "Oh, hey, buddy," and he's just trying to kill his dad, like in front of him. But it was, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I really liked that little ending bit there. And then like culminating with him, getting in the car and like running over his mom and grandpa and stuff like that. Like that whole stuff was fun, and I guess that was kind of more of the really crazy over the top stuff that I wanted out of more of the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because when I was doing stuff like that, I was like, this is getting like pretty like fun and crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it ends within about 2 minutes of that scene because we get a scene where the kids have finally got them tied up, and I thought this was just setting up the next part of the movie where they were going to try and talk sense into them and make them wake up, and instead they just kind of act a bit crazy, and it cuts to black, and that's the end of the movie, and it's like, okay, that's not even close to an ending or a resolution. It's just it's ever going. And I get that you're making some sort of poignant kind of point out of it. You're saying, oh, this feeling is always kind of there. I get what they're trying to do. It just doesn't feel like it really earns its sort of ambiguous kind of cut-off ending, which is a shame. But I don't know. I kind of liked it. If I'm, if I'm ranking it up and I'm saying like how did I feel about it, I think I liked it more than you did. I wasn't as disappointed.
Yeah, and like I definitely can't say that I hated it, but I mean it's almost like in a weird way, kind of a compliment where it's like, oh, like I wanted more out of it, where it's like, oh, like this is a really good premise. These are good actors. There's a lot of cool stuff you could have done, and maybe if it was just a little longer or something.
And you mentioned actors. I think it's worth mentioning. I actually think I like most of the cast and the roles. Even the kids, I think, are pretty good. The teenage girls, pretty believable and solid for what she's supposed to be. Obviously, Nick Cage is doing his thing. Selma Blair, I've not seen. I don't think I've ever had as much fun with a Selma Blair role as I have with this.
I can think of like 2 other movies she was really good in.
Oh, Hellboy 1 and 2. Yeah, sure. Wasn't feeling those movies, Timmy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Also, it's kind of weird how in the first movie she's the love interest for the douchey guy, and then in the second movie he's just not there.
Oh, you mean the...
Yeah.
Oh, I can explain that.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure the actor was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing another one. I'm pretentious and I do proper films now. I don't do your big
Actually,
red devil movies."
actually, if I remember correctly, I think that Guillermo del Toro didn't want him in the movie, but the studio was kind of like, well, you need to have a
Ah.
human character that the audience can relate to. And then once he had a little more cachet with the second movie to kind of just do what he wanted, he was like, oh, you're out.
The studio may have been right though, because the second movie bombed and there's no Hellboy 3. There's a Hellboy reboot coming, but there's no Hellboy 3 in that continuity.
Did it bomb though? I just don't think it really did that well.
Comparatively, it bombed. Like, because it was like a big budget movie and it only made like I don't know, 100 something million, 200 maybe worldwide.
Oof, oof, horrible.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame they didn't make good Hellboy movies, Tim. Maybe this new one will be good.
He's trying to get me to kill you. That's all right. I won't succumb to your sick game.
Because Chief Hopper is a Hellboy now.
Mm-hmm.
Having said
Sorry for
that, I'm saying that as if I don't like Ron Perlman. I love Ron Perlman. I thought he was the best part of those Hellboy movies, but
He's great. Yeah.
but I like Chief Hopper too, because we're in a post Stranger Things world, and everyone in it is now important to me. So.
Well, I'm sorry it's not as good as your beloved DC movies.
Tim, that was a low blow, and at least we've had good DC movies in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had plenty of good Hellboy movies in the past.
No, you had two mediocre movies in the past, which admittedly are better than, say, Batman v Superman or your Suicide Squad, but not as good as, say, your Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy or your original Richard Donner Superman.
I mean, those are pretty high standards, but don't forget that there are two Hellboy animated movies.
I literally did not know that, Tim. There's also about 50 DC animated movies to pair it up against. And honestly, if you probably rank them out, there's probably about half of those will be better, half of those will be worse. Because some of them are bad, some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Some of them are mediocre. They're all over the place. We don't even talk about this movie anymore. Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad. Yeah. I wonder actually what parents think of this movie. Like, if parents watch this, how do they feel about it? Like, does it hit a bit harder? Does it hit home? Especially if you're middle aged. Which, by the way, Nicolas Cage is actually a bit older than that. Like, it's funny that Selma Blair is is the appropriate age for the character in the film. Nicolas Cage, I'm sure, is at least hitting like 20 years older than her.
Yeah.
I'm going to confirm this. Nicolas Cage is an oldie man now. Let me find out.
It looks good though for his age. I'm guessing like early 60s, maybe early 60s.
My math is terrible. I don't know why. I don't know why I said I'd do this. He's actually only 53. It'll be 54
wow.
this year, I think.
Oh wow.
If my math
way
is correct.
overestimated.
Yeah, because 2024 will be 60.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. That's right. My math is terrible. Okay, he's actually a little bit younger than I thought he was. Funnily enough. I think that says to how rough he looks in some movies, though, that I thought he was older than that.
I mean, I just think for me it's like impossible to tell actors' ages because when I see them, I automatically assume they're always like 20 years older than I think they are.
Oh, and to be fair, the gap's not that big. She was born in 72, so she's only 8 years younger. That's actually a perfectly believable age difference for a married couple. That's fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
I honestly thought he was much older, and they were, here's the younger wife, because that's what they do. Because you get all like Tom Cruise is in his 50s, and his love interest is still usually about 25. Like that happens almost every movie Tom Cruise is in. But no, fair play. So what age is she then? She's 44 this year. No wait, that can't be right. 46 this year.
Terrific age. We love our 46-year-old listeners.
Sure. Why them specifically?
Because it's just a great age.
Okay, Sure. Sure. You looking forward to that age yourself, Tim?
Sure, why not?
You're getting closer and closer. That's all I'm saying.
I think it'll be a miracle if we survive that long, but
Oh, was that a political joke, or was that just we're unhealthy joke?
a little bit of both.
Little column A, little column B. If the
I-
nukes don't kill us, then the calories will.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm on board with that line of thinking. That's fine. Yeah, it's actually a really straightforward movie. Like, we actually got through that really quickly, but I think it is because it is a really simple film when you actually look at it. What we have not mentioned, though, is there is a cameo by comic book writer Grant Morrison at one point. He is on TV, he's on the news, he's like an expert they're talking to about what's happening, and he's basically saying, oh, this is some sort of like chemical weapon from our enemy, because, like, you know, if we like kill our young, then we've got no future. We're basically eliminating ourselves. There's no need for them to attack.
It's so crazy. I wonder like why like him of all people like made a cameo. I'm guessing he must be friends with someone on the team or something.
Yeah, I've
but
never seen him in a movie before, so I have to imagine so. It's worth mentioning. The Crank guys did the second Ghost Rider movie, so I think that's why Nicolas Cage ended up in this, probably.
Makes sense. Okay.
Probably. I mean, I'm just guessing.
Well, it's a little bit of comic connection there. Maybe they might be fans of Grant's or something, or maybe Grant's a little more Hollywood now. He has I think he's a producer on Happy.
He is indeed. Yeah, he's a producer.
So maybe everything just kind of worked out. But hey, it's always cool to see him. Got a little giddy going. Like I'd heard that he was in the movie. I think you might have told me, or someone else might have told me before, but I had completely forgotten. And then once I heard that beautiful Scottish brogue hit my ears, I perked up. I was like, oh yeah, that is Grant Morrison. Oh shit.
What, you mean this accent you're hearing right now from me?
It's completely different. But
it's fairly similar.
You guys probably are from different ends of the island or whatever, but because when I hear him, it sounds like a beautiful breeze caressing my ears, and when you talk, it's kind of like a garbage disposal, just chewing up rocks. It's a little rough, but yeah, normally it's a beautiful accent.
I think you'll find, Timothy, that you quite enjoy my voice.
Well, don't do the seductive thing. I don't need that right now.
We'll have to remedy this impression you have of my voice that it's not as attractive as Grant Morrison's. Like, so unfortunately, Tim, I'm going to have to seduce you.
No. We'll put out a Twitter poll. We'll see what people think.
Oh dear.
I'm terrified to put up like Twitter polls, because like I don't care like what people vote for. I'm just always afraid that no one's gonna vote. Like I'm like, hey guys, here's my poll, and then it's like one person votes. I'm like, oh.
Hey, one's better than none.
True.
I guess we're ready to rate Mom and Dad. We've not been talking about it for 5 minutes. Like I said, it's a really simple movie. It's 80 minutes long. Like it's it plays like a zombie outbreak movie where you hear reports of, like, random killings happening. All the parents at the school try to get to their kids. Feels like a zombie movie with them all trying to get in, and then the kids run home, and then it becomes about hiding in the basement from the parents and them trying to get in, and then shenanigans with Lance Henriksen and whatnot. But hey, I had good fun. Tim, what would you rate it out of 10?
I really, really hate to do this because, I really wanted to like it more, but I think I'm gonna give it a 5.5. It's not like super low, but like it's kind of a disappointing score.
Okay.
Like if I was a teacher and this was a report card, I would probably put something like, "I know you can do better" on it or something. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's not like I hated it. It's just I felt like there's missed potential in it, and maybe I had high expectations, but yeah, I think it could have been better.
Well, this might be a shock to you, Tim, but I'm actually going to go as high as a 7.
Oh wow!
I had fun. I would say it was good. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't give it any higher than that, but I had enough fun, and I watched this in a quick 80 minutes. I had fun. I laughed. I was kind of laughing constantly at the demented Nicolas Cage faces and the various violence towards children, because I always enjoy violence towards children in movies. It's the best. It's always worth having. So, 7 out of 10 for me. So that's the most we've disagreed in a while, I think. And it's not even that much. It's 1.5 of a difference. That's not a huge difference, but.
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with this area though, like that feels like a bigger difference than like like an 8.5 and a 7 doesn't feel like as big a difference as like a 7 and 5.5, but
a 1.5 and like a 3, now there's a difference.
Yeah. What are you doing? Trying to use your sexy voice when you're scoring?
I assure you, Timothy, that was not what I was doing.
All right.
I should go listen to Grant Morrison guy. Maybe I could do an impression. Oh well. So I guess that's the end of Screams After Midnight. This is the mum and dad episode. Tim being the mum, me being the dad, and one of us has to be the mum. Why not you?
Yeah, mums rule. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, mums can rule indeed. They can. Dads can suck. Honestly, I feel like more often than not, dads are the assholes in movies. Actually,
yes,
they usually are.
Yes, I'd agree with that a lot of times. Although, what's weird is I'm reading a lot of Stephen King books right now, and Stephen King had a really good relationship with his mother, but he uses a lot of like terrible mom characters in his books. Like, a lot of the books I've read so far have just had like just the horrible, like super religious, like browbeating, angry, judgmental mothers. I just think that's kind of weird because he loves his mom, but.
Actually, you better hope, Tim, that this never happens in real life, this whole mum and dad sickness, because I've seen pictures of your dad. You're screwed if he comes after you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to last for like 2 seconds.
He is built like a tank. You are screwed.
Yeah, luckily I am like halfway across the country, so.
That's true, you've got an advantage there. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, if we were in the same house or something, I'd be done for. I would just give up right away.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I guess that wraps us up. That has been Screams After Midnight. A lot of tangenting towards the end, but hopefully you got our opinions on the movie well enough. So that is Mum and Dad. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can get a link in the description, and you get some bonuses like access to submitting movies to the crypt. You can see the crypt in the link below in the description, but you can submit movies to it if you are a patron, as well as the monthly vote and all the other stuff that comes along with the patron stuff. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Love you loads. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.